Okay, so we've talked about functions in terms of a graph and an equation by this point. Now we're going to move to tables and sets, and they are actually the same. So one thing I need you to understand, we have a lot of experience with the tables like we have in B, but the set that we have below B, in D there, I could do the exact same thing and make a table out of those numbers. And so that would look like 5, -7, -1, 4, 0, -5, and -1, 3. So it's written a little bit differently as what we call a set of ordered pairs, and that's what these funky brackets on the end are. It's called set notation. And so recognize that it's just like a table. It's just written a little bit different format. So for something in a table or a set to be a function, we cannot have more than one y value for the same x value. So we'll go through this and we'll get some examples, and we'll see that the first thing to do is to look for any x values that repeat. And so here I don't have any x values that repeat, and so it is going to be a function for sure. So x can't repeat. For it to be a function. And we'll talk more about what we mean about that in just a moment. So this is going to be a function, because if we were trucking along from -2 to 2 like this, we would end up with a line that looks something like that. And my iPad just disappeared. Weird. One moment. Okay, got it back. So x values can't repeat, because that way we won't have the more than one y value for the same x value. And so let's go down here and look at this set. And so we're going to consider the x values. I've got a 5, a -1, a 0, and another -1. And so we notice that I have two -1s. And with -1, there is a 4 and a 3. So if I was to kind of show you in a graph really quickly what that would look like, we would have a point on our graph at -1, 4, and we would have a point at -1, 3. That means that if we were to draw a vertical line, we would hit both of those points. And that's why in a table or in a set, x values can't repeat. And we can connect that idea to the graph as well, in that over here, we have an x value that repeated. Like let's say that this was the point 3, 2, and that this was the point 3, -2. The x value 3 repeated. And that's what caused this to not be a function, because we had more than one point for the same x values. And so for D over here, again, we had -1 twice. We have 2 points that have the same x value. So that is not going to be a function. Okay, we'll go through these tables and sets in that same way for the rest of this. And these are, I think they're pretty easy. Check for x values that repeat. Yep, we have a -3, and we have another -3. So if we were to make a graph of this thing, at -3 we would have a point at 1, and we would have a point at 21. So again, a vertical line would run through both of those points, and that would not be a function. Oops, I'm circling it when I should be crossing it out. Okay, let's look at the next one. We have a 9, a 6, and again, I'm just looking at the x values to start with. 9, a 6, a 3, and a 0. No repeats in our x values, so yes, that's a function. Okay, I hope this tables and sets thing is coming across okay. I'm going to leave this here for some notes for a moment, and then I'm going to move on. All right, so again, we just go through the process of looking, do I have any x values that repeat? The answer is no. So, yes, that's a function. Down here, I have a 6, a 3, an 8, and a 6. So again, since we've got two 6s, we would have a point at 6, 7 and a point at 6, negative 7. That means a vertical line would run into both of those points. That means that this is not a function. Alrighty. Moving on to the next one. I've got negative 1, 1, 3, and 3. So I've got to repeat again. I would have a vertical line that would hit at both 20. It would go through both 20 and 27. So this is not a function. Next, x value is negative 1, 3, negative 1, negative 3. So I do have a repeat, negative 1. And so since I have a repeating x value, again, just like the last one, I'll draw a quick picture to show. I would have a point at negative 1, 3, and I would have a point at negative 1, negative 8. So vertical line hits both those points. That would not be a function. Again, the only thing that we have to look for here is, are the x values repeated? Because if they are, we're going to have more than one point that gets hit by the vertical line. So on to number 5. I do see that I have a pair of 2's here. So that's with the 4, that's with the 3. Again, just a quick little visual to show what would happen. We would have 2, 4, and 2, 3. That means a vertical line would hit more than one point. So that makes that not a function. All right, next we have negative 2, negative 1, 0, and 1. No repeats in our x values. So yes, that's going to be a function. Moving on down the line, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no repeats. That's a function. Here we have a 5, that's a repeat. I can stop right there because again, I would have a point at 5, 2 and a point at 5, 6. Vertical line would hit more than one point. So not a function. Number 7, we have 9, 7, 7, 5, 3, so 7 repeats. That's going to mean that this is not a function because if I were to graph this thing, I would have a point at 7, 7 and a point at 7, 6. Vertical line would hit more than one point. Not a function. Last one for number 7 here, we have 7, 4, 1, negative 2. And so no repeats. So yep, that one would be a function. Number 8, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, no repeats. So yes, it's a function. And D, we have negative 1, 3, negative 1, 3. We have negative 1 twice, which means that we would have a point at negative 1, 3, and a negative 1, negative 8. So a vertical line would hit both of those points. And so that is not going to be a function. Okay. Number 9 and 10. We have repeats that are 9s. So I've shown this multiple times on the graph. I don't think I need to show it again this time. We can see that we would have a vertical line that would pass through 9, 3 and 9, 4. Not a function. And then our x values in the set here, 0, 1, 2, 3. So no repeats. That is a function. And lastly, number 10, I do have a repeat here of negative 1. So not a function. And then I go 5, 3, negative 1, 3. These 3's repeat. So nope. That is not a function. All right, guys, that's going to be it for lesson 20. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have an awesome day.